Janet tonight.
Good evening, and welcome to the Rowley Board of Selectmen meeting of September 8th, 2014. Time being 7:01 p.m., I call the meeting to order. And we now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Paul, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Paul. Chairman's comments. I really don't have any written comments today, but I would like to thank the town employees, the town officials, the 375th Committee, the town residents who came out, joined us in the parade, who stood on the sidelines and watched the parade, and joined in the big picture on the Common. It was a great time. It worked out very well, and I appreciate all of the things that the people did for us to make it happen. There was a good committee that really worked hard.
They did.
And put it together, and it turned out very, very good. So just to thank everyone for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Citizens' query will be from 7:05 to 7:15. We do have an appointment tonight, and it's a joint meeting with the Water Board to discuss the following: extension of certified water operation services contract with Weston and Sampson, transfer from emergency unforeseen expense account, update on water treatment plant construction and projected cost to operate the water treatment plant, update on water department secondary water operator positions, and discuss proposed special meeting, town meeting warrant articles. And that'll be at 7:15. So we'll go right to general business number 1, and it's a request from Cub Scout Pack 15 to use the town common for annual popcorn fundraiser.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman, if you want to read it.
I'll just read what, just into the record. It says, "Hi, I'm writing to request the use of town common again this year for the Cub Scouts popcorn fundraiser. We would like to meet on the common on September 28th at 1 o'clock to kick off our fundraiser. We would also like to hang our fundraiser sign on the backstop. I will personally be responsible for hanging the sign and any maintenance it may need. We will remove the sign at the close of the fundraiser. If you need additional information, please call me at 978-375-7402. Thank you. Megan Merrill, Cub Scout Pack 15.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. General business item number 2. It's to Deborah M. Egan, Town Administrator, Town Hall, Rowley, Mass. I fully realize that you may have many, many things to read today. Please allow me to grab your attention for a few seconds. I made a comment today about something which others have noticed. Church Street could stand an upgrade with a new surface and curbing on the town property, on the Todd property, north side. Hopefully, the sidewalk could get a concrete surface there. Such an improvement would encourage parking by customers of the coffee shop and the antique place. It would also look great. Hopefully, your planning and highway people agree. That's it. Sincerely, Henry Wolf, 13 Plantation Drive, Rowley. So I think, I'm pretty sure the highway department's aware of that little area right at the intersection. I know they've mentioned it a couple of times. They're going to try to get that fixed.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, that was part of the Central Street project,
I
which
think
was
you're right.
Church Street and that whole thing, assuming
Yeah.
that we get some state money for that, so.
Right. So we are aware of it, and we are looking at it, and hopefully it'll get taken care of. So, is there any other further discussion? Okay. General business item number 3. Review planning board site plan application submitted by Ed Sotheby of 4 Main Street. Review planning board site plan application submitted by Ed Sotheby for 4 Main Street. The Board of Selectmen has received a copy of the application submitted by Ed Sotheby for 4 Main Street. Guess we've said that enough times. Does the board have any comments or concerns they wish to convey to the planning board regarding this application? Have we had a chance to look at it, guys?
This is the first I've seen it, but I believe that's that concrete foundation's been there for years.
Yes,
Yes.
right at the Ipswich line, next to White Farms. There is a picture of the proposed
So any improvement there would be
building.
welcome.
Yeah, I mean, and it is in the historic district, so any building design will need to get the review by the Historical District Commission. And I took a quick look at the application, and it appears to be in order at this point. So, there was a couple of plans. It's a kind of a narrow lot, but, and I think the backland tends to get a little bit soggy there as it goes down.
Yeah, probably. I would have no objections, only because I think it's a gateway to Raleigh from Ipswich.
Yes.
And it would be a great improvement over what's there, and I assume that, I don't have any specific objections to anything going on.
Okay.
And
And
I'm
I
sure
would-
it'll go through the
I don't
mill.
think there's much jurisdiction we have there. We don't have the soil removal bylaw anymore, so that might have been one of them possibly, but other than that, I don't think there's much there. So I think it needs to go to the Concom and the Planning Board and the Historical Commission for review, so. Okay, no comment.
No comment.
Okay. Okay, the time being just after 7:05, citizen query is open.
What, Mr. Chairman, if we might take the Triton item now, just where these school people are here, so
Okay.
we may be fairly lengthy with the water board.
Yep. So that would be new business number 5, discuss Triton High School Stadium renovation project. So, let's find number 5. Good afternoon. Please read the following message from Superintendent Christopher Farmer. Thank you, Patty. Read District Communications Committee, September 17th, 2014, 7 p.m. But did we say it was going to be a different date?
17th.
17.
That's correct.
Okay.
17th.
Okay.
It's Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday?
Yes.
Yep, okay. The purpose of this message is to ensure that you are aware of that single agenda item for consideration by the District Communications Committee on September 17, 2014 will be the funding and implementation of a plan to renovate the high school stadium. Brian Forget will have an up-to-date cost estimate and technical advice on the decisions that you will need to be made in order to move the project forward. At this stage, we need to establish whether or not there is a positive funding commitment among districts and town leadership. With community support at spring 2015 town meetings, the renovated facility could be in use during fall of next year. At the present time, there is an opportunity to bond the project at low interest rates, which suggests we should move forward sooner rather than later. I hope that you will have 7 p.m. on September 17th on your calendar. Best wishes, Christopher Farmer, Superintendent of Schools, Triton Regional School District. So Brian, I'm assuming that's why you're here, and Paul also.
That's right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so you want to give us an update?
So the purpose tonight isn't to do a full-blown overview of the stadium. That is the sole agenda item, as Christopher said, on the 17th. This has been a project that we identified, it's coming up on 3.5 years ago. Our track, we have not run, our students have not run on the track since 2011. The bleachers have continually passed the inspection, but it's by a very thin margin. They don't meet any codes at all, ADA, safety. So with those two items in place, there was some interest in redoing the entirety of the stadium. There was a donation from the Institution for Savings for $525,000. Trade and Education Foundation took that on and spent about 2 years trying to raise as much as possible privately. They did raise about $150,000, but it's a tough market right now to try and raise private funds. And so the project kind of stalled last year with their efforts. And there was a meeting I was not at the meeting, but I guess it was in June, of the District Communications Committee, where it was raised and said, let's bring this to the towns. The project is with an amenities building, which would provide restroom facilities, is in the just shy of, or north or south of $3 million. With the funds raised and with the donation from the bank, the pricing, we'll go through what it looks like now. Again, these are scenarios. There's nothing concrete. It is a biddable project. But as Christopher said in the letter, at this point, with interest rates in the 2s on 15-year bonding, and I think that was a wise decision that the Communications Committee made to say, let's bring this forward and have a discussion with all 3 towns. There's been a lot of discussion about revenue potential. We don't have concrete numbers on what we could raise as far as revenues. We do know that because the project is resizing, it does away with the visitor bleachers against the marsh, expands the track and the turf, and then there's 1,500 seats on the home side, so that's visitor and home. By widening it, you have a full-size MIAA regulation soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, and football. So obviously the revenue potential is greatly enhanced there. It's upgraded lighting with the amenities building with the right number of fixtures for restrooms. We can have MIAA events. There's a lot of potential there. Band events, band competitions rather, I should say. There aren't concrete numbers. Something in the vicinity of $200 an hour is not unheard of. Obviously, the primary use would be for the students from the 3 towns, for the Triton students. But I think that it would pretty much be used whenever there's not a Triton student on in that stadium. It could be rented off. You can use it all 3. You can use it in the winter if you want to plow it off. There's no resting periods, so you can have practice after practice after practice and 2 games in a row and not have to worry about wearing it out. What we've discussed and the committee has discussed is the wisest use of revenues is to put it into a schedule so that the synthetic track has to be resurfaced about every 7-8 years, and the carpet, the fake grass, about every 14 years. So putting the revenue into a revolving account that goes towards the replacement, so that with this initial investment from the 3 towns, this becomes its own self-sustaining entity. The concrete curb, the pavement, all of that is 30 plus years as far as a useful life. So that's the plan at this point in time. The hope on the 17th is to gain enough initial, not a commitment. Again, the towns wouldn't be coming together on the 17th to approve the project. That would happen at the town meeting in the spring. But the committee has been wise, and with the finance subcommittee setting aside gate receipts, so that we knew we were going to have to do something with the bleachers and with the track. So there are gate receipts to commit with Gale Associates, who has done the other projects in the area, to design the specs and get rolling. If there is, again, it's with good intent that we want to move forward with this. The committee has the funds and gate receipts to be able to commit those contracts. So that would be the hope following the meeting on the 17th, that we could move forward with the planning and then arrive in town meeting in May with bids in hand, ready to go with concrete numbers and ready to roll as soon as the votes happen.
So basically, the purpose of the 17th, the meeting, is just to get representatives from the finance and from the selectmen from all 3 towns. I guess Mr. Farmer and another school committee member going to Salisbury tomorrow night or Wednesday night.
They're in Salisbury tonight, we'll be tomorrow night.
And so the goal really is just to get as many selectmen at the meeting on the 17th and finance committee members, I guess, from each town, so that they could really get a better understanding. Is Gail gonna be there, or is it just?
Gale Associates, so Gale,
They're gonna be there?
Bill Seymour, who's the principal at Gale Associates, will be there, go over costs, specs. He's the engineer, or there's a couple of them, so, I mean, they'll be able to answer all the specific questions. But again, like Paul said, it says, hopefully is a good discussion with as many people as possible, so the committee feels comfortable saying yes or no, this is something that the towns want to move forward with, so.
So you're anticipating this will be an override for the three towns, each of the towns probably will be.
That wouldn't be a decision for the schools or for the committee to make. If I had to put a ballpark number out there right now, I mean, it depends, again,
Right.
where this all bids, but 60, 70,000 per town is a number, I mean, in that 180, 200,000 per year on a 15-year bond, looking at $2.25, $2.5 million. So if that 60, 70,000, 75,000, I don't, that would be a town decision, whether that would be absorbed into the operating budget. So technically, if the committee votes to incur debt, the towns have 60 days to say no. So obviously at town meeting, we would want you to say yes, rather than just having a no vote. So that would be the discussion is there's a yes or no on the project, and then however the town decides that it's gonna fit.
Are you looking at funding it a third, and a third, or by a student population, or how are you?
That's for
A
Wednesday's
discussion
meeting.
to be had. I have that
Yeah.
information on a piece of paper, so
Right.
we can take a look at that. It doesn't change it drastically,
No.
but it obviously does change it,
Okay.
If I could
$7,000.
comment, based on the district communications meeting that we held in June, that many of us felt at the meeting that it would be fairer to do a third, and a third. But, yeah, we could
Okay,
discuss
yeah.
that.
No, I think we're all pretty close now anyway, right?
Right.
It's not a huge differential between the towns.
Not a
anymore,
huge, Salisbury's the
there was at
largest
one
still,
time.
but it's come much closer together, yes.
And I think the financial aspects with the bond rating, bonds at 2%, I think that's very favorable for us to do it now.
In the
and where
twos,
we
not
do need
flat
the,
two.
we do need to do something for the stadium.
Brian,
I
excuse me.
Want to
may I?
support it.
You said 15 years. Why 15 and not 20?
The size of the bond, we used First Southwest.
Yep.
And they said they'd have a hard time floating someone to want 20 for a little over $2 million bond. So that's on their advice. Could they potentially try 20? They could try it. They said they wouldn't probably be very successful. And the rates obviously go up the longer you,
Right.
small amount of money, longer years, the
Right.
rates go up. So those were the most attractive combination. And that was based on level debt, not level principal.
Right.
So.
Well, I know it's been back a number of years ago when we first started talking about it and raising funds. I was on that committee up there, and I know it's something that's badly needed. And to bring it up for discussion, I think is probably appropriate, because the costs gotta be going up, like all building projects, year by year, and like you say, the funding is good. And, to bring it before the citizens, I think I would be in favor of that. I won't be able to be at the meeting on the 17th, I'll be out of town, but, I would feel that it certainly is worth discussion between the three towns, and hopefully, it's needed, and the surrounding communities are all doing this now. I mean, it seems to be the way to go, and the amount of athletic field use is just increasing by leaps and bounds between the
amazing.
variety of sports, and you got football, soccer, lacrosse, and field hockey, and I mean, there's so many different things, and to have an artificial turf there would certainly enhance our ability to get these kids really let them play and enjoy the scene up there.
Brian, is that gonna be a public meeting, do you know?
A public.
The district communications, is that gonna be video?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it'll be
I don't know
available.
that it'll be videoed, but
Oh,
it's
really?
it's always public. But we can talk about that. I can check to see.
Good idea, just in case people are out of
Yeah,
town.
absolutely.
Also, I'm happy to see you come in early like this, so that we're not waiting until the last minute to, oftentimes we end up with projects waiting until the last minute to talk about them, and this is to come in early like this, I think should be a valuable process.
And I think just, finally, it's important to recognize that we're a very dedicated group of people that put a lot of effort into raising these funds privately. So it's not like we just run to the towns and say, we want to do this. They put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, but
A
it's
lot
just
of energy.
in these fiscal times, it's tough to raise that kind of money privately.
I know, I had a kid the other day banging on my door for Ipswich looking for money for the football team, so I mean, it's tough, it's a tough market out there. These businesses and citizens are,
Yeah.
every time you turn around, there's someone looking for funds for one thing or another, so it's,
And the funds that the committee has available in gate receipts to be able to contract with Gale Associates, that time, if the towns agreed that, the committee would come back within a week or two, we have on the schedule and say, okay, we're gonna do this. If we did that, that ball would start rolling right away. And any of that, if it were to fail at town meeting, there would be some increase in cost, but that would be wasted money, because that whole process would be the designing and the permitting and the bidding. That would still hold true, you know, information that we would have solid. And we've done some soil testing, we've done some basic, and well, I think a key point is we're not expanding any further into the wetlands, which is always
An issue.
an
Yes.
issue. So Gail has looked at that and said it's not, you're up against the wetlands, but you're actually decreasing your footprint by a few feet. So it's probably timely or a time-consuming event to go through the entire zoning, but it's certainly not. It doesn't look prohibitive, so.
You should head in the right direction.
Exactly.
Butchering it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion?
I'm good.
Just one comment that I came to Debbie last week and asked me to put on the agenda for tonight to make my own presentation to the board to see if we could come to an agreement that we would support it. So that's why I asked that item 5 was on the agenda for tonight,
Thank you.
because I think
Okay.
it should be done.
Can I ask one
Appreciate that.
question?
Sure.
Where's the closest similar facility, Brian?
They're popping up all over the place now, but if you were to go to North Reading High School, my understanding is that one is almost identical to what we would have as far as 1,500 seat, the field, the
Yeah.
colors, but that's the one they keep using as an example. I'm sure there's several others around now that.
That's existing now, or they're
Oh
building
yeah,
it?
North Reading is there. Yeah, it's been there a couple of years.
That might be a good comparison for potential revenues.
People tend to hold that information pretty close to the vest. I think now that everyone is putting them in, obviously the revenue potential is down when every high school is going to have a
Right.
stadium, and there are private groups that have the private field houses and stuff. So, but I'm hoping that we could potentially raise 40 to 50,000 a year, and if we could do that over the 10 to 14 year cycle, that would support the stadium
Right.
and have the money that we need every 7 to 14 years to replace those components. But it could be twice that. And that's, I think, part of the discussion is if we raise twice that, if we raise more than what we need to maintain on that cycle, then we can say, let's offset the assessment that year. So in any year, it can be used the following year. So I think those are all the discussions that we want to have at the same time with all 3 towns, but I think that's absolutely, I don't think there would be any reason to put money aside for anything else. You know, it either supports the stadium or it offsets the cost.
Great.
So,
Okay,
Also for me.
all set?
All set.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming, Joe, you're planning to go?
I definitely am.
Okay, and hopefully I can make it with my calendar. We are gonna be shot 2 other selectmen. So, Dave is out of town, and I think Bob Snow's also gonna be out of town during that time frame. So, at least we can get a couple of us over there.
and we were hopeful to get at least 1 selectman and 1 finance committee member, so if we could have more, I think that would be fabulous.
Yep.
I think someone to bring the message of support or.
I would recommend too that if you can have it taped.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be really valuable, because like I say, there's plenty of time to look at it and kick around, let people come in with questions, comments, and concerns. It also gives everybody, you know, we as selectmen and finance committee people time to look at, you know, what the figures are gonna be. Plus, we're assuming that maybe the school budget won't go up too much this year so that we can afford to get the stadium. That's probably wishful thinking, but I figured I'd put that in.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Stu's got a kind of keys.
yes, Stu?
That project would not be an expense, it would be an investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, you're right.
Very definitely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Very definitely.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's all you guys got?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Nice to see you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Brian.
Well,
Look at that.
Brian, good to see you again. I'll see you along the way here.
See you Wednesday.
Yes.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Whatever it
Just
takes,
chocolate
Joe,
chip
whatever it
cookie.
takes.
Okay, the time being after 7:15, and I apologize to the water board and the new superintendent. We have at 7:15 a joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners to discuss the following. Now, let me get to my package for that. So I guess the first thing I will do, actually I read I think I'll read it again just for the record so we make sure we got it in there. It's the 7:15 joint water board meeting with the commissioners to discuss the following. Extension of certified water operation services contract with Weston and Sampson. Transfer for emergency unforeseen expenses account. Update on water treatment plant construction and projected cost to operate the water treatment plant. Update on water department secondary water operation positions, and discuss proposed special town meeting warrant articles. And I call for a motion and a roll call vote to open the joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye with a roll call.
Aye, Dave Peterson.
Aye, Robert Mary.
I, Joseph Perry.
Hi, Tim Tony.
Aye, Roy Rick.
Hi, Stu Delzo.
Thank you. We are in joint session. And I'd just like to make a statement here. And that is that the Selectmen welcome Water Superintendent Mary Beth Weisner to a new employment position, which she started on August 11, 2014. She previously served as the Water Superintendent in the town of Falmouth, Mass. Mary Beth has hit the ground running and is providing valuable expertise to the town of Rowley on the new water treatment plant. And the Selectmen will introduce ourselves. Obviously, I'm Chairman. My name is Robert Murray.
Vice Chairman Joe Perry.
Dave Peterson.
Thank you, guys.
Could I just make one quick comment, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman? That the paperwork we've gotten, the memos from Mary Beth since she's been here, I think for the first time in a year or 2 years, we really have gotten some good written information to refer to. Normally, it's we discuss back and forth and everything's kind of verbal, but it's really great the various budget issues that you've put together and the scenario for extra help and things like that is very clear and gives us a chance before the meeting to really get a good handle on what you're looking for. And I think it's well appreciated on all of our parts. So thank you very much. We look forward to working with you.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And Mary Beth has submitted memos on the items to be discussed during tonight's joint meeting. And memo number 1 addresses the first 2 bullets on tonight's agenda, and that is the extension of certified water operation services contract with Weston and Sampson. And the second bullet is transfer from emergency unforeseen expenses account. The Water Board discusses the need to extend the certified water operation services contract between the town and Weston and Sampson. This contract provides the town with temporary certified water operations who can work in the water department. I'm sorry, not operations, but operators. Up until last week, there was only one full-time water operator working in the town. This contract provides the required coverage the town needs under state regulations to operate the town's water system. The contract was paid out of the Water Expense Fund, budget line number 12, private treatment. The contract was set at a not-to-exceed amount of $24,500. The private treatment budget line has $500 remaining. The contract extension is for $9,200. The following actions need to take place after the discussion if the board agrees to extend it. Is there any discussion at this point?
Can we hear from either the board or the water superintendent, just to give us a quick
Memo
explanation?
number one, Mr. Chairman, will, if you look further in your package from the superintendent, outlines the status of where we are with that contract and what's needed to have it as a stopgap measure between filling positions and getting the water treatment plant online.
Okay, that would be item number one, Deb, under
That's
that.
memo number one from the superintendent to Chairman Ricker.
About 5 pages back.
5 pages back. No, I can't find
That
it.
addresses that point.
Okay.
Maybe she could give us a quick synopsis rather than read all these memos.
I think that Ms. Weiser can just summarize
Okay,
these
I
points.
got it now.
Mary Beth, why don't you come up if you want, and you can, if we don't read the memos and you kind of explain it, we could probably get through this a little quicker. Yeah, go ahead, proceed right over there if you want.
Well, currently, the town of Raleigh has a contract with Weston Sampson for the water operators services, and the purpose of that was to supplement the lack of staff that we currently have. The contract, the dollar amount ran out the first week in September. So in order to continue to operate the new treatment plant, we had to augment this with additional staff. So that's why we're requesting the additional $9,200 to supplement the $500 that's in the line for to cover the contract. And that should take us through the end for another 30 days until we can start to build the water department back up again with staff.
So that, you're anticipating that will be enough to get you through until you hire another secondary operator, or is that what the game plan here is? In other words, what's the game plan once this contract runs out? What have you got in mind?
The game plan right now is I'm currently, tomorrow as a matter of fact, I've got 2 interviews lined up for the last remaining position for the secondary operator. So we'll interview those candidates, and if there are either one or both are qualified, I'll be inviting them to come to the water board meeting next week so that the commissioners can have a chance to meet the candidates and have a chance to ask them some questions themselves to get familiar with the candidate. If one of those candidates shines above the other, we'll make an offer, and all the positions we have in the books right now will be filled. But the long-term plan is to come up, which I've been talking about, is a staffing plan for the future of the water department.
So we're still at the 9,400 that you're gonna need to take from the account?
Yes, to cover the contract.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, actually it would be 9,200.
Yeah.
But if the water board and board of selectmen realize there's $500 left in that budget line, which could bring it down to 8,700.
Okay.
The total amount not to exceed would be the 30.
The 33.7?
Yeah, 33.7. So we paid 24.5 out of that.
So just so everybody understands what we're trying to do, this particular line item that we're dealing with is licensed water operator contract services with Western Sampson. And it's a transfer of funds from line 14 of the general budget. And the budget category is extraordinary and unforeseen expenses. And the transfer will be made to line 12 of the general budget. And that would be private treatment, a budget category. And the amount is, at this point, 9,400.
200.
200.
200.
Okay.
Yeah, it says 400 on the memo page.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Weiser met with the fiscal team last week. We did review statuses and balances, and we've reviewed it, and we've determined that this is an essential need for the water department until they can get their staffing levels up to the requirements in the DEP regulations.
Right, okay. So is there any comment from the board? The water board?
What's the remaining money left on the line that we're transferring from after this transfer?
It started at 50,000 and that would be subtracted from this.
So we're looking at basically
There have been no
40,000.
emergency and unforeseen
Right.
transfers in fiscal 15.
Okay.
So to answer Tim's question, it'd be about 40,000 in round figures.
After the
41.5.
transfer.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion?
Well, I just need the water commissioners to they need to request us to make the transfer. So you guys need to vote, make a motion amongst the water board members, and then we'll vote after that to support your vote.
Yeah, do you want me to read that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
please.
the next question, it says, Board of Water Commissioners discussed the need to extend the contract and if in agreement, needs to vote to request the Board of Selectmen to transfer the sum of $9,200 or the actual amount needed of $8,700 to cover this contract, and it needs to be done with a roll call vote.
I'll make the motion. Tim Toomey.
I'll second
Mr. Chairman, they need to state the amount.
Make the motion for $9,200 from the line 14 extraordinary and unforeseen expenses to go into line 12.
Okay. So we have a motion, and Roy, you made the second, but we need a roll call vote for that.
I, Stu Delzo.
I, Tim Toomey.
Okay. So I guess it passes.
It passes. Mr. Chairman, if you want, I'll give you the motion on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. If there's no further discussion, to request it to transfer the sum of $9,200 to line 12 of the FY15 Water Department Enterprise Fund budget.
Motion made.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded by roll call vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi, Dave
Aye.
Peterson.
Bob Murray.
Aye, Joe Perry.
So it passes. Okay. So now we're down to,
Now the Board of the Water Board needs to take a vote to actually sign the contract.
sign the
So,
contract. Okay.
if they want to use one of, from the chairman's packets, that would probably be appropriate, so they need a vote.
Yeah, the Board of Water Commissioners votes to sign the contract extension as attached in Ms. Weisner's memo number 1.
It should be by roll call because we're in a joint session.
Right.
Yeah, use yours, that would be great.
What we're asking you to actually sign is the agreement for certified water operator services made on July 1, 2014 by and between the town of Rowley, acting through its Board of Water Commissioners, hereinafter called the owner, and Weston and Sampson Services, Inc., with offices at 5 Centennial Drive, Peabody, Massachusetts, hereinafter called the vendor, is hereby amended in accordance with the provisions of said agreement. This amendment is issued in cooperation with the following changes. Contract sum is hereby amended as follows. Delete the first sentence of the second paragraph and replace it with the following. The town shall not be liable for any claims or requests for payments by the vendor which would cause the total claims or payments under this agreement to exceed $33,700. So the water board needs to vote that and then sign the contract itself.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Tim Toomey.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
I, Stu Delzo.
I, Tim Toomey.
Okay, so I'm assuming the motion passed. Do they have a clean copy, Deb, or should I just give them this one here?
No, they're using Chairman Ricker's.
Okay, thank you.
get her to give us an update on
On memo 2, I was hoping to get it signed, and we can move forward. We'll get out of sync. Have they signed it yet?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm waiting here for finish it up. That's what I get for not paying attention. Okay, so now the next step would be memo 2, and memo 2 covers the following discussion topics on tonight's agenda. Update on water treatment plant construction and projected costs to operate the water treatment plant. Update on water department secondary water operator positions, and discuss proposed special town meeting warrant articles. So Mary Beth, can you give us a little update on those?
Sure. One of the outstanding items on the punch list was there was 400 feet of fencing that was missing. The material's been ordered, and we anticipate as soon as the material arrives on site, which we're hoping next week, they can finish that section of the fence.
Okay,
We actually started pumping water into the system on August 27th. The intent with the treatment plant is to run it at a minimum of 12 hours a day. And obviously due to the lack of staffing, even with the Weston and Sampson folks coming in, it's been difficult to do that. With this type of process, the treatment plant needs to run. It's a type of system that needs to stay wet. If those filters are out of service for more than 48 hours, it causes problems. It means calling the Paul Corporation in, an added expense that we're not ready to cover.
right.
So we need to keep that running. So what we're going to do in the interim is, I know I'm jumping ahead, but we have since filled one of the full-time positions. Robert Gray started last week. And so, starting tomorrow, we're going to be changing the shifts so that we can fill 12 hours. I had a conversation with the Paul Corporation last week, and by the time we're getting over there and getting things running and then shutting down in the afternoon, it's about 5 to 6 hours we're running. That's not good for the process, and it will cause problems down the road. So, starting tomorrow, Rob, the primary operator, will be coming in and working 6 to 2, and then the secondary operator will be coming and working 10 to 6, with the Weston and Sampson staff coming in between, so that we can try to get that full 12 hours of runtime. We really haven't experienced any issues, just some small leaks, just tightening up some nuts and bolts, just like when you're running something. Normal startup issues that are not really, in the big picture. It's just very small. It's just part of a normal startup of a water treatment plant. So, the good news is that we are pumping water into the system, and so we began with well number 3. Well number 5 is offline. They did that. They cut and capped that cross connection that was there, and they've begun some of the demolition work inside the pump house to start to make that transfer over to treating it through the treatment plant.
Oh, very
So
good.
we're in really good shape. I know the punch list started out, there were about 4 or 5 pages. We're down to 2. And Weston Sampson assures me we'll be done to be in compliance with the ACO by the 15th, but I am on top of it. I'm in constant contact with them at least 2 to 3 times a day with anything I come up with or questions that I may have. So things are moving ahead, and barring any unforeseen, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be, on time with that extension that we got from the DEP.
Very good.
Could you give us a quick overview of people having dirty water because of the starting and stopping? And I know any time the water swishes around abnormally, I know I had a water issue over the weekend at my house. And I know I've talked to other people that have had some issues, so maybe you could just, for the viewing public, kind of explain what happens when we turn the systems on and off and so on, so that there are gonna be some intermittent, periodic dirty water issues until everything comes online and it's operating as it should. Is that what we can expect?
Well, there are a couple of things that are going on. We have a couple of small active leaks in the system, and normally that's something we would take care of, but it's the staffing issue we're a little slow going at getting to them. So when you have a leak, it stirs things up in the pipes as well. Then we have the treatment plant, which we're starting and stopping. And one of the things that happened was when you had well number 3, it went into the distribution system in another location. Now we're redirecting it and it's going into the system on in another section. So the hydraulics, it's stirring things up. It's temporary. The system will get acclimated. And normally we would be out there trying to alleviate some of this, but we do have that mandatory water ban, so it's not something that we can go out and do any flushing, active flushing to help, move this water along. As to how long it's going to be happening, I don't have an answer for that. Just ask for everybody's patience while we work through this to get the treatment plant up to its full speed.
Yeah, that was my point, was just to let people be aware that you're aware and we're all aware that there are gonna be some dirty water issues and we gotta deal with them. We're doing the best we can under difficult and trying circumstances.
But please let us know.
And like you said, with the water ban, we can't do any flushing really, so we're just, understand, let you people know. But it will be straightened out as, in the next few weeks as everything comes online and the help situation gets to be what it should be, so.
Mhm.
Okay. So the update on the department, I guess you already gave us that. You're gonna be interviewing tomorrow night.
I'm sorry?
The update on the water department secondary water operator positions.
Yes.
You'll be updating that. You'll be working on that tomorrow night?
Yes,
Doing interviews.
tomorrow, I'll be interviewing the two potential candidates during the day.
Okay.
And then when we have our water board meeting, on the 16th, I think it is, we'll be, those candidates will be invited back, and, if one of the candidates meets the credentials and the criteria for the job, and, we'll bring them on board.
Very good. And I guess the last item is discuss proposed special town meeting warrant articles.
Yeah, I guess you may not have anything for tonight, but just to be aware that by what date, Debbie, they need to get the articles to us?
September 22nd, so the superintendent has prepared this table. It's part of her memo number 2. I think it's important for both boards to discuss what would be required in this budget year to actually have that water treatment plant up and running. And the funding source potentially could be the stabilization fund, because both boards will recall during budget season, we weren't sure what it would cost to operate the treatment plant. So surplus funds were put in the stabilization fund at town meeting. And the purpose is to offset any rate increases that there would be from running the cost of, for the cost associated with running the new treatment plant. So this would be what we believe is a logical funding source to get the funds in that are going to be needed, as John Sikora has been updating Mary Beth and informing her what the electrical costs, the chemical costs, the filters for the Paul membrane system, and the maintenance contracts that need to take place just to run that were not factored in the fiscal 15 budget, and will be upon us soon as expenses with not adequate funding.
So these figures on the right-hand column are what would be needed to be transferred from the stabilization, is that what I'm gathering?
Yes, and the superintendent has provided some backup information from John Sikora at Weston and Sampson that substantiates some of that information, and I will turn it over to her because she has been working on this since last week.
So if you'd like, I can go through each line and give you an explanation as the dollar amount for the
Yeah, that
transfer.
might be, I think that would be
Okay.
helpful.
So the first item is the electrical cost for the treatment plant. In the FY15 budget, there's $67,000 that was budgeted for electricity. And when we took a look at what was budgeted, we took a look and used as an average, we ran the plant back in April of this year for an extended period of time. And we received electric bills from the electric company. So we projected out an annual cost for electricity, and the $67,000 is not gonna be sufficient to cover the electrical cost, so it would need an additional $150 so that we can pay our electric bills.
Over and above the 67.
Yes. The water treatment plant chemicals, there was $34,000 that were budgeted for treatment chemicals. That was insufficient. Again, did some calculations on what we would be using on a daily and monthly basis. An additional $50,000 will be needed on top of the 34 to cover the costs for the treatment chemicals. And understand too is that it's really gonna take us a full year of operating, going through the seasonal changes, you know, using less chemical in the winter and vice versa, to truly get a number, you know, for you know, future budgeting. But for right now, we're basing these numbers on what we have, only operating under one condition. So that's what we anticipated would be the additional need for those costs. The membrane filters themselves, I know that I heard a bunch of different numbers that were thrown around as far as what is it gonna cost for maintenance on these filters. If we were to do it all at once, these filters need to be replaced in 10 years. Right now, the current value is about $230,000 to replace the filters. So if we break that down to $21,000 a year, we'll be able to purchase the filters, and we can, so when the time comes in 10 years, we'll have what we need to do the maintenance rather than having to do it all at once. So if we spread it out, it'd be a lot easier, I think, than to do it in one lump. So that's where that will be an ongoing annual cost for that. I had a conversation last week with the Paul Corporation, and they provided me with some, because I said, you know, what about when the warranty period is over, which will be up this April with all the construction. So between April and July 1 of the next fiscal year, we will have no coverage if anything goes wrong, or we need additional support from Paul that's beyond our abilities. So they provided me with some monies which I'll be incorporating in the FY16 budget for maintenance, and the $24,000 would get us through in the event, and it's not necessary that we'll spend it, but it will get us through in the event that we may need their support.
It'll give you some coverage, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where that's coming from. And then the last item on the list is paving of the parking lot at 401 Central Street. And if it's okay, I would like to turn that over to Chairman Ricker for discussion on that.
Okay.
Right now, in front of the 401 Central Street, we have nothing but potholes. Somebody's gonna fall and get hurt. And it's a safety situation at the moment. Mary Beth has gone over it. She'd like to try and do the whole thing at once, but we've gotta do something out front right away. And we can't go through another winter like this. Somebody's gonna get out of the car to pay their bill and fall, and we're gonna be in a mess. So we had a price of 95, 100 I believe it was, wasn't it?
9,500.
And 9,500 to do the front and do that. But to do the whole thing, Mary Beth got some figures, it would probably be around 60,000 to do the whole thing.
We agreed at a previous meeting we weren't interested in getting down the sides of the building done because of equipment and so forth. We wanted to, I'll call it the hush of a circular driveway in the front, that's what we wanted done. The 9,500.
But there are also other areas along, especially like where the employees park, that it's chunked. It's like you can actually pick up the chunks.
It's
So there's now
starting
starting
to
to be
break up.
holes,
Yeah.
and I personally did a little stumble. So there is, it does go to the side, onto the side of the building. And we do have public meetings there. So if anyone is parking in the parking lot that's attending our meetings, I mean, there is areas aside from just the front, which
Yeah.
is the worst, but it's a side where people park.
Yeah, you have to have a little history on that piece of property. It's all filled land. And they actually lowered the intersection of Central Street and Route 1 about 12 feet back in 1965.
I think a lot of that hot top came with that building. I don't think that was done when the water department bought that. I mean, what hot top's out in front of there is
You're
pretty
right.
old.
It's done piecemeal.
And what they did was they dumped all the ledge in that lot. And then they sold the lot, and that's when the building was built. So I'm sure that through the years there's been settlement and all kinds of things happening, and that's why you're getting the breakup of the hot top and so forth.
We agreed at a meeting, I believe it was just before Mary Beth came on board, that we would use recycled asphalt on the side for now. Get some of the debt down before we pave the whole thing.
Yeah. So is it, we have
Too
any
much debt there.
comment? Okay. You're gonna add this to your budget for this coming year?
The paving?
Yeah? Or you wanna do
No,
it now?
this is part of this year. You're looking to transfer money out of,
If we can do it now, that'd be great.
Okay.
If not,
Yep. So is there any discussion from the board?
well, I think I've been going to the water board meetings on a regular basis, and the lot is a disaster, waiting for something to happen. I would recommend that, if we look at transferring the 60,000, if the water board wants to do something less, they can discuss that amongst themselves.
Mhm.
But I think if we're gonna do a $10,000 job and then come back next year and do another 40 or 50 or whatever, maybe it's a situation that put the money in. If you don't spend it, it's just gonna revert back in your budget anyway, so it isn't a matter of having to do it if the money's available, so that you can get that 60,000 will at least give you money to pave the front if nothing else, and if you wanna bring in recycled stuff and smooth it out and see how the winter goes, to do the other before you pave the next, but that's a decision you guys make, but I have no problem myself saying go ahead if the money's available in the stabilization fund. Mary Beth's got a lot of different projects going here, and she's going full boat.
Yep.
And it definitely needs some work, probably beyond just the front of the building, so without telling them what to do or whatever, I would have no problem
and we're gonna be.
supporting the 60,000, and then you guys, if you spend it, fine. If you don't, that's up to your decision to make, but at least you've got it available, so that, because, we've done everything piecemeal in this town. We do job after job with piecemeal projects. And, it'd be nice to if you're gonna hot top it, get it done, get done with it, and then move on to the next
Like
project.
Sue and I, we talked on it before, we're gonna have the price of patching out front, but, it's like putting a Band-Aid on something that needs to stitch, it's just.
Yeah, it needs to be done
Too far
right.
gone.
A
Yeah,
Band-Aid's
it
a Band-Aid, and it's not gonna get any better unless you do it right.
No, the stuff is so old and cracking,
Yeah.
we can patch it, and 2 weeks later, next door,
Particularly during the freeze-thaw cycles, it's just not gonna last. It just-
Before there's any excavation done on the side, before there's any paving done on the sides, there needs to be some excavating done. The fence post dug up and much more concrete put around them, because there's not enough around them to hold where the gates go.
Yeah, I think the 60,000 should give you hopefully enough money to pretty well square things away there.
and it's gonna address the drainage in the back. We still have an outstanding, consent order from the Conservation Commission that I'd like to take care of,
Okay.
to address the issues that were there. So we'll be looking at that as well.
Good.
Yeah, I think you're taking the bull by the horns, and I think it's a good idea to
Yep.
move ahead and get beyond this stuff that's been kicking around for a fair amount of time.
So, Mr. Chairman, so getting back to this, these would be an article or articles, however they want to divide it up, on the special town meeting warrant to transfer from the stabilization fund, which was 2/3 vote of town meeting. Would the board have any recommendations to the water board on if they want to split these up into various articles, or just have it, the water treatment plant ones, the all-in-one article, and then the road paving separate, because that would be a transfer to their maintenance line or their capital line.
Well, I think the two different lines that we'll be using, I think we should make those one article each, so there'd be total 2 articles for line 11 and a line 8. We've got 2 line 8s and we've got 3 line 11s that the funds get transferred to.
Yeah, and this is what Mary Beth is just suggesting at this point. We
Yeah.
can still look at that, make sure it's the appropriate line. And, so would you suggest then the Paul membrane program go into maintenance, or under, we have new treatment plant expense as well?
I think,
Maintenance treatment.
I think we should lump the Paul, however you do it on the budget lines. I think the Paul membranes need to be where the water treatment issue is. I think we need to be
Okay.
careful that we, in other words, have one article for everything related to the water treatment plant, and a separate article if they want for the paving,
To go into the maintenance
to
line.
go into the maintenance line, I think.
Yeah.
And then when you do next year's budget, however, because
Yeah.
the problem we ran into last year was everything was guess, for the people at home, everything was guesswork. I mean, we didn't have any figures. Weston and Sampson wasn't overly helpful when giving us figures, so we're now getting some real figures, which to base next year's budget, because obviously they're gonna see as the year goes along what they need and what they don't need. So,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I think the ability, the information you're giving us is fantastic. And it really builds a foundation for whatever the budget's gonna be for next year, so whatever we can do to help you in that process, I think we wanna do.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, David. That's the way it should work. I mean, the finance committee last year, not finance committee, but the financial committee that worked on the water department budget, it was more of an experiment than a budget. Actually, it was a budget, but we didn't have anything solid to go on, so we were trying to figure out where we could make it work. And obviously, we missed a couple, and we knew that would happen. But as we go along, it's gonna get better and better. And, next year it'll be much better than it was this year, so, I think that's the way we need to do it.
Larry's got a question.
Yes, Larry?
Oh, yeah, Larry White, Fiscal Committee. Concerning the water treatment operation, I am not privileged to what your figures are, but we'll say if you have the extra staff that you need and we're not under a water ban, do those numbers that you said, do they go up significantly or not at all as far as the electrical, chemical costs, maintenance, et cetera? Do they change, when you've got no water ban and under full staffing that you need?
Well, whenever, right now, Larry.
Larry, just from the electrical side of it, from the water, because I'm not gonna get into the water. But the longer the pumps run, the more it's gonna cost on a monthly basis. So if you're pumping a lot of water, particularly on an August day with 90+ degree temperatures and people are running through their sprinklers and all this stuff, there will be some increase in the electrical cost. Now, if it's a cold day or cool like it was today, then that cost will go down because you're not gonna be using the water that way.
Right, I realize that, I just don't know whether that's been factored into these numbers or not.
Well, I think probably to some degree it probably has, but in reality, it's a guess. It really is.
Exactly.
Until you get some hard figures and say, okay, this is the average
Right.
over a couple of years, once we get to that point, we'll be much better. So for the next couple of years, we will be kind of guessing at it to a degree. But each time we do that, we'll get better.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that you mentioned the fact that we're really basing these numbers, the problem we have is we got a fall town meeting coming up real quick here. And we need numbers for that meeting, and you're basically, correct me if I'm wrong, basing these estimates on about 2 months' worth of
Operation.
operation of the plant. So we're more accurate, but we're still in we think this is what it's gonna cost, and we don't know for sure, but, so that by the time we come in here in the spring, you're gonna have a pretty good idea of what you spent and what you haven't, and, you know, I think what we wanna be careful of here is we need to make sure you have enough money to operate through the special town meeting that we usually have in May.
Right.
Hopefully, this will be plenty to get you through the whole year. Because, and once again, if the money doesn't get spent, it isn't wasted, it goes back into this stabilization fund again. So it's a matter of having enough money available. We don't wanna waste it, obviously, but we're still guessing, but we're guessing with much better information and much more accurate information than what we had last spring, when we were just basically pulling numbers out of the sky. We all were doing that.
Yep.
We had nothing to base it on, so it's good that we're honing this thing in, and you guys are doing a good job with it, so.
Yeah, once the water treatment plant comes online fully and is fully operational, and you've been staffing it for a period of time, you'll be able to refine your figures and get better figures.
Yeah, a year's information will do wonders for the budget. It really will. Once you get that full year's information, although it's only gonna be, there again, an average,
Right.
it's not gonna meet every year, but it'll help a lot. And you'll get closer and closer to what you really need.
So I guess if you come in, just get us, if you guys have your meeting next, whenever,
Next Tuesday.
ratify whatever, by then Mary Beth could probably have the articles, so you could vote them, and then it'll come in before the selectmen, before the closing date for this meeting. That would be fine, right,
Yeah.
Debbie?
Yeah, so we'd be looking at two articles. The articles relating to the water treatment plant and then the paving.
Right.
Both to be transferred from the stabilization.
Right.
Yeah.
If I may, I don't know, Debbie, if it's the other article that we were talking about, additional staffing, is that appropriate to discuss that?
Oh, yes, well, I think that was gonna be covered under update on water and secondary water operator positions. That was,
Okay.
Mary Beth was gonna discuss, since we've had one operator working in the department since July 4th. There's obviously surplus money that we haven't spent in the wage line. It would be a good idea for the water board to consider seeing if we can hire another secondary operator on a full-time basis, because the way the staffing plan is working out, obviously with running the water treatment plant 12 hours a day and having the distribution work that still needs to be done, they're not staffed. So at least at this point, if there's a way to transfer some funds within the budget, could we look at having one more
Operator.
water operator?
I think it'll pay off in the long run. I really do.
And it's become obvious, I mean, like I say, I've gone to the last couple of water board meetings, and I think everybody's in agreement that the staffing issue is killing us right now. And the importance of getting, obviously, the two positions filled, and you filled one of them, you got one more to go. The position and a half or whatever that you already filled is gonna go a long way to, we've gotta get out from under Weston and Sampson's contract. And I think, in setting this whole thing up, we kept asking for staffing plans, and Weston and Sampson never really gave us much. And they kinda told us, oh, you can run with what you got, but I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the water treatment plant issues, and then you look at the delivery issues, like you said, you got water leaks, you got issues that the residents need to have resolved, and water department issues that they deserve to have resolved. And unless we get another secondary operator, it's gonna be impossible to do that. So if you can come up with money for a second, or would it be a third, at this point, a third secondary operator, and give us an article for that, I think we'd be receptive to it. Because once again, we're going through a transition period here. we all understood that it was gonna take more people to run the water treatment plant and the distribution system together, whereas before we were merely, had wells with a distribution system. So I think, once again, I think we're supportive of, it seems like you have some plans that you're really putting together, which is important, so that when we go to town meeting, we can explain to the people exactly what the situation is, and it's being resolved as we go along, so, I would be in support of, you got enough money in your budget, in that line item to support an
Well,
operator, or
I
how?
think we need to look at
We need
that.
to
I
look
think
at the
there
budget
are
line
some
items
funds,
and see if
but
there's extra
if
funds
there
in
could be
one
a-
and maybe transfer it to another
yeah, then maybe.
within the budget itself.
Because if there's money within the budget, you may not need to do it at a town meeting, right, unless you're transferring from one section of the,
Well, I think we wouldn't be able to
there's not enough money without
do it, yeah.
transference, okay, so,
maybe from the overtime line or something.
okay.
So that would be another potential article that Mary Beth will discuss with the water board next week.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine, I think it'd be a good
So that would
idea.
make it 3 articles.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there anything else that we need to look at here?
Mary Beth has updated the board with the punch list. What needs to be done, there's still a temporary occupancy permit at the site. And she's also, so she's provided the board with that, also the communication from the DEP. To the DEP, I'm sorry.
Well, the flow of information has been very, very helpful.
So she's available to answer any questions on the status of where that stands in terms of the project being finished and having a full occupancy permit.
Here's one other item, which I think should have been in the packet. It's the addendum agreement for engineering services between Weston and Sampson to carry out the engineering portion, not the contract operators, through the ACO.
Okay.
That should have been in the packet.
Okay, yes, that's in amendment number 9, Mr. Chairman, towards the end of the package, but before the punch list.
Okay.
Amendment number 9.
Yes. The selectmen discussed this with the water board on July 28th, when we realized that the consent order deadline was approaching on, I believe it was August 15th. So we needed to continue services with Weston and Sampson to see us through to the completion of the project. So this was discussed, and the water board needs to vote and sign this. And this is paid for out of the borrowing.
Okay, so that's Article, what they've got listed is Article 5, payments to the engineer is hereby amended.
Yes.
Yes. So this was discussed, and that they need to extend this so that we can legally have work done by them.
Okay, so we have a cost ceiling of $840,000 and a fixed fee of $41,000 and a total fee of $881,000. So that's a vote of the board itself.
Yes. So if they are in session now, they could ratify that if they haven't already. And that's out of the borrowing, and
That keeps Weston and Sampson through 10/17 of 14,
yes.
this amount.
What was the last, what was the last contract extension we did?
I assume it's till 8/30, because this extension goes from 8/30 to 10/17, so I'm assuming that was probably what the,
Yeah,
I
that
think it was
that one.
August 15th,
August 15th is one.
okay.
because that's when the original ACO was due, and then we got the extension from the DEP to October 15th. So we need to extend the Weston and Sampson services to get us through the ACO, and that's what this additional monies is for.
Well, the last extension we gave them, was that back in July or was it back in August?
We have two different,
I know,
the two different ones going on.
because we voted on one, I'm not sure if we already voted on it.
To
I'm
go
not sure
into
what we
like
did.
October 15th, right?
Through October 17th, according to this agreement.
17th.
So we voted to go to October 15th.
Yes.
So this would be go October 15th or what?
This amendment takes us through the 17th.
Okay, so we're looking at 3 days? So we already voted on to go extend it to the 15th, so I'm missing something here. We already voted on another meeting.
But there wasn't a contract in place. This
It was just a
this backs
contract
up.
extension though.
Yes.
Okay.
The
Well,
cop-
we
the
signed
copy I-
something, I'm not sure what we signed.
The copy I have is not signed.
Yeah, I think there's a signed copy back there in the office.
Okay, because this was just sent to me from
Weston and Sampson?
John Secora. Yeah.
Okay.
It may have been a change order from the SRF for the engineering services. That may be what you've signed.
Maybe.
There were-
Okay, so if we signed it twice, it doesn't really,
Well, if you don't sign it tonight and it didn't get signed before, then we're still behind the 8 ball. So if
Yeah,
you
we got
sign
no way to
this,
say it, so we
you
should-
can always tear it up afterwards.
This will make, yeah, if you voted tonight, you're assured that you have money to cover until the 17th of October, which hopefully will be the final extension for Weston and Sampson's contract.
yeah. I thought we already did this all, right?
Just to avoid any confusion, I would
So we'll
recommend
just
that
do
you
it.
go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we sign this. Extension through October 17th for the sum of, what is it?
Rory, second it. Need a roll call vote.
Aye, Tim Toomey.
Nice two bills,
The total fee is $881,000.
Yeah, you're raising the cost ceiling by 41,000.
Right, so we're just raising the ceiling by 41,000, yeah. Okay,
Sounds good.
is there anything else that
I think
we
we're all set.
that missed?
I think that's it.
Well, that's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was very helpful. I hope the public got a good view of, where we stand and understanding, and we seem to be moving ahead at a pretty good pace, so that's good news.
Okay, so if there's nothing else to come before us tonight between the Water Board and the Board of Selectmen, I would entertain a motion to adjourn by roll call vote.
I will give you that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor with the roll call vote signify by saying aye.
Aye, Dave Peterson.
Aye, Robert Murray.
Aye, Joe Perry.
Aye, Tim Toomey.
Nice two bills,
Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Appreciate it, Stu. Thanks for coming in. Tim?
Thanks, Stu.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Good job. Nice, Mary Beth. Thank you.
Thanks.
Roy?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can check that one off. Review the plan of the site location, new business.
So, Mr. Chairman, we have some representatives from Capone Iron Corporation here, just for a routine one-day liquor license application.
I was just looking
I was
at up
wondering
there,
if we
number
could take
4.
them
We certainly
out
will
of
take
order.
you next. Sorry to push you through this.
Been an education.
I'm sure.
It always is.
I am sure. Let's see, there's 2.
Everything appears to be in order with this application. It's been reviewed by Police Chief Robert Barker. He signed off on it.
And we got the most important part of the application, Deb.
You do have a,
That's the check.
Check. $10.
Only $10, that's the best we can do.
Under new business number 4, one-day liquor license application submitted by Capone Iron Corporation. The application is for a one-day liquor license for September 19th, 2014, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The application is for beer only. The beer will be distributed by a tap under the supervision of a tipped certified bartender. The application has been reviewed and signed off by Police Chief Barker. Has everybody had a chance to look at the application?
You're gonna do that at your place of business on Turcotte Drive, eh? It's a corporate event, which means, is it like stockholders, or is it?
No, it's actually kind of an educational type of event where we have engineers, architects, clients come in, and it's actually sponsored by the American Institute of Steel Construction. It happens nationally, where all steel shops that are certified, like our shop, open their doors to professionals, construction professionals, to come in and see what the plants are actually like under power. Because many of these guys that are behind the desk, drawing and planning these projects really don't know how it goes together.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
No, is there any comment from anybody else?
No, I have no comment.
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'll give you the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve, and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. You guys are all set?
Have a nice event.
Mr. Chairman,
Good luck.
More than
we
welcome.
have a
It is open to the
license ready
public,
for you to
okay,
sign this
more
week.
than
that
welcome.
we-
Okay, yeah, yeah. So,
All set?
Yeah.
We'll have a license available at the end of this week that you'll need to have posted. We also have to send it to the ABCC, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I know.
okay, we're still under new business. State primary election location will be at the Rowley Public Library. New business. The Board of Selectmen held an emergency meeting on September 3rd, 2014 at 2 p.m. to vote to reassign the location of the September 9th, 2014 state primary election from St. Mary's Church Hall to the Rowley Public Library. Town Clerk Susan Hazen was notified last week that St. Mary's Church Hall could not be used for the September 9th primary election because of ongoing construction at the site. The Board of Selectmen voted on Wednesday, September 3rd, to move the voting location to the Rowley Public Library and to sign the revised election warrants. Election hours remain the same, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The town clerk has sent out alerts to the town residents over the town's reverse 911 communication system. Also, messages have been posted on the town's website and local access cable channel. A large electronic sign has been placed on Route 1A near the town hall and also one by the Pine Grove School. Once again, the September 9th, 2014 state primary election will be held at the Rowley Public Library, 141 Main Street, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So hopefully everybody gets the message and come out to vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have Mr. Jim Edwards. He's here for old business number 1. This was tabled. Ms. Edwards here in the front row. Because
Rowley
we
via.
were still trying to get the application all together, and so. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
If that would be okay, if the
Old-
board would like to take that out.
Old business number 1, is there any objection to taking that up?
No.
No. Item number 1, liquor license change of manager application submitted by the Rowley Veterans Association. Let's see if I can find it. You got the most important part of that one, too. Okay, liquor license change of management application submitted by the Raleigh Veterans Association. The application is complete, except that we have not received the certified vote of the corporate board from the clerk of the RVA board, and I believe we just received that, Deb?
Yes, so
So we do have
the
that now.
application is complete.
They have submitted the exempt of their excerpt of their August 13th, 2014 minutes in which the resignation of Charles Hardy was presented. According to the minutes, Charles Hardy resigned effective August 31st, 2014. The ABCC requires the certified vote. We provided the example for the last change of management application filed by the RVA. So I did take a quick look at this morning, and everything appears to be in order.
And my check's bigger than Capone's.
Just a little bit.
So you're gonna be the new manager, Jim?
Yes,
Oh, you
Mr.
are?
Pearson. I am, well, effectively, as soon as we,
Right, you're probably the assistant manager, is it?
correct.
Yep, everything seems to be, is there any question or
I have no questions.
information needed or anything
No.
like that?
Anybody in? Jack, you here for this, or
What place?
you got here for that? Is there anything you wanna
No.
say, or?
I think
No,
Jack.
no,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here for two shellfish things. Did I miss one of them? I hope not.
Nope,
Okay.
don't miss anything yet, Jack.
Yeah, you haven't missed anything.
I'll give you the motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the change of management at the Raleigh Veterans Association. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you.
Jack, you're the last person in the audience here tonight. So I'm going to ask the board if they'll jump right down to the new business item number 8.
Okay.
I think he should wait.
No, we don't want to do that to Jack. Item number 8.
How's the green crab business going?
Going very well, as a matter of fact.
I've seen you've been sending out a lot of information, so
It's
it
this program is going well.
sounds like things
very
are
well.
going in the right direction, right?
We're going to go to that one next.
Oh, are we? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
No, that's
jumping-
okay. That's
I'm
okay.
jumping around here.
Okay. We have the request for an aquaculture transfer. Dear Honorable, it's actually Honorable Board, it is with deep regret that due to other work requirements, I find myself no longer able to perform the work required to maintain my aquaculture lot number 10. I hereby request that you allow the transfer of my lot number 10 to Michael Cook, 10 Central Street, Raleigh, Mass., under the terms and conditions of Section 2 of the Shellfish Leasing Rules and Regulations. Michael has had and used a commercial shellfish permit for the required 2 years and is anxious to propagate his own area. Thanking you in advance, Fred Hardy. So the form has been filled out by Michael. And there's the meets and bounds seem to be in order. Is there anything you need to add to it, Jack?
It's what?
Is there anything you need to add to it? It's a 1 acre lot on the section known as Clubhead Sands.
Yep.
Lot number 10, bounded by the ground positioning system coordinates as follows. And those are in the application, so.
Okay, what I'd like to say, Michael was here,
Yeah.
and he had an emergency, so I said, I've got all the stuff, so I will handle it for you. So, the Shellfish Department is all in favor of this. It's something that Freddie can't handle, and Michael wants to, so we think it's gonna be a good time.
Well, I think
Very
it's
good.
a very good idea to try to keep these lots active,
Yeah,
because when they're active, the rest of the lots get
exactly.
propagated. Yeah.
And Michael's got a good deal, because Freddie's got a pretty good batch of clams on
Oh,
there.
does he?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, is there any questions?
I got no questions.
I have no questions. I'll give you a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to transfer Lot 10 from Fred Hardy to Michael Cook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We may have
Thank
a
you,
transfer. Okay.
And I got another one.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we get to the green.
Now we get the important
Okay, so we
stuff.
Now we get down to the tough part.
We can now, under new business, go to item number 11, which is discuss Division of Marine Fisheries Green Crab meeting on September 12th, 2014.
Okay, a little background on the thing, I'd like to read the email. Well, first, you must know that Senator Tarr and Representative Kell got $133,000 appropriated to conduct a green crab depletion program on the Great Marsh. Well, nobody knew who was gonna run it, how they're gonna run it, any of that stuff, so I finally got an email last week. Says, I just wanna make sure everyone is aware of the details of $133,000 that was approved by the Mass Legislature to conduct the green crab depletion program in the Great Marsh. The majority of the funding will be dispersed to fishermen municipalities to conduct green crab trapping programs with the intent of depleting the green crab population in the Great Marsh. Division of Marine Fisheries is working out details right now of how the program will work and how the money will be dispersed. We'll be contacting a representative from each municipality in the next couple of weeks, I got this a week ago, to seek input regarding the details of the program. We will likely convene a working group with representatives of each town to help identify specific areas that need to be targeted by the trapping program. To help ensure consistency among contracted fishermen / municipalities, and to develop accountability protocols to ensure the maximum success of the program. It is our hope to get the program up and running as soon as possible. With cooperation and assistance from all of you, I am confident that this program will be a success. We'll be informing you of the details of the program when they become available. So I got notice day before yesterday they'd be meeting in the DMF property in Gloucester this Friday afternoon at 1:30, I think.
1:30? 1:30, okay.
They want my son and I to be there because we've both been involved in it, and they would like 2 selectmen to be there.
1:30?
1:30 at the DMF in Gloucester. Now,
So
if
you
we
can
can get a
make that,
couple
Joe?
of people to go, I'd be.
1:30 I have a better shot at, yes.
Okay.
I'd show for it, you know.
Now, I can go, unless you want.
I'm out of town.
No.
As of Thursday.
Right, you're gone from here, have a good trip,
I
yeah.
can bail out of this one, so.
I think we should change David's plan so that he has to go to the meeting.
I don't know.
Go for it, Joe, go for
Do
it.
whatever you want,
No,
say whatever you want,
I-
Joe, that's all right.
But
I'm
you
tied up in the morning, but 1:30 I think I
Okay.
can be
We
there.
should
for-
leave here by 12:45, no. Yeah, 12:45.
12:45.
Quarter to 1, I think that gives us plenty of time to get there. And
Sounds good.
Do you want to meet here or just pick everybody up?
Could do here, yeah, I got
Yeah.
a big enough car.
That'd
for
be
a
great.
Meet
group.
here,
Good.
meet here and it'll work.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, quarter to 1.
Okay,
Excellent.
Sounds good, Jack.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you for your
Thank
patience.
you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Neither one of them was difficult, were they? There's nothing difficult in the world.
Thank you, Jack, you're doing a great job with that whole program.
Okay, now let's get back into the swing of things here.
If you can figure out the order, you do.
Okay, transfer that one. Okay, new business number 2. How did I get new business number 9 at the end? New business number 2, right there. It's September 4th, 2014, to the Board of Selectmen. This letter is to express my intent to file for my pension through the Essex Regional Retirement System, ERRS. I am not resigning from my position as electrical inspector with the town of Rowley and will continue to work in my current position, which is 9 hours per week. Respectfully, David Lebec, electrical inspector, town of Rowley. So is there any action that we need to take with that, Deborah, or is it
I
just
don't
basically a
really see that there's
notification?
any status in the change of his employment at all with the town. He wanted to make sure that the selectmen were fully informed, because he works in other municipalities.
Right.
That's why he's in the pension system, not because of his position with the town of Raleigh
Right.
individually.
Yeah, okay,
Very good.
so we'll take care of that one. Okay. Item number 3 is next. And this is FY15 reappointments, appointments, and Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 19 and 23B. Disclosures filed by Electrical Inspector David Levesque. Fiscal year 15 reappointments. Electrical Inspector David Levesque has filed Chapter 268A, Section 19 and 23B disclosures pursuant to his reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is town board that adjudicates decisions made by the building inspector. The building inspector serves as the head of the Inspectional Services Department. The building inspector is the direct supervisor of the electrical inspector. The Board of Selectmen needs to review the disclosures. Dave Levesque's appointment to the ZBA expires on September 9th, according to Attorney Greg Mayo.
Mayo.
If the Board of Selectmen is satisfied with the disclosures, it will need to issue a written determination that the physical or improper interest is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the services which the town expects from the employee. The written determination may include language that requires Dave Levesque to state at public meetings, that he serves as the electrical inspector of the town and that his supervisor is the building inspector. This could alleviate any potential appearances of a conflict of interest which constitutes a violation of Chapter 268A, Section 23B. And then the copy of the letter from town council with the opinion. And the disclosure by non-elected municipal employee of financial interest and determination by appointing authority as required by General Laws 268A and Section 19 is also included. And signed by David Levesque on 9/2/14. Is there any discussion?
No, we kicked this around quite a bit, and we're really waiting for the paperwork to be signed. I don't know, did you have anything, Joe, or if not, I'm willing to make the motion that we've determined that the financial improper interest is not so substantial as to be deemed likely to affect the integrity of the services which the town expects from the employee. And we would request, as part of that determination, that David Levesque state at public meetings that he serves as the electrical inspector of the town and that his supervisor is the building inspector. That way, anybody appearing before the ZBA understands that if they want to object to him hearing their case, they can. I think that was the critical part of what we wanted to make sure happens. So,
Right.
if that sounds good form for a motion, Debbie?
I think so, yeah, if that's what the board feels.
Yeah, in the paragraph it says, I would advise Mr. Levesque to file both the Section 19, Section 23 written disclosure
Right.
of the potential conflict. I would be satisfied with that.
She's done.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to reappoint Mr. Levesque to the position along with the requirements.
Is there gonna be a motion first on the written determination under?
Determination first.
Then we'll appoint him.
Then we need to reappoint him again, right? Because he
Yes, I
runs
think
out
first
today.
you have to make that motion, is shown on the form that's required under 268A, Section 19.
Be two motions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
This is the financial interest, so if there's a determination made by the board after reviewing this and having these disclosures now on record, if you believe that the financial interest is not so substantial, that it would affect his performance.
Okay, I think Dave actually said that when he made the motion.
That's my motion.
That's his motion,
Then
okay.
we'll make a motion afterwards.
Okay.
Appoint him to
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
whatever the effect
Okay,
is.
that'll work. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Debbie, when does his term?
So the ZBA serves his term for 5 years, so his term expired on initially on June 30th and was extended through September 9th, so that would be 5 years from,
2019?
yeah, it's from,
June
2000.
30th, 2019.
yeah.
So I'll give you a motion to appoint Dave Levesque as member of the ZBA through June 30th, 2019.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that takes us down to new business item number 6. Correspondence from Rowley Parish Council, UK. Read Rowley's 375th anniversary. For September 2014, Board of Selectmen, 139 Main Street, P.O. Box 275, Rowley, Mass. Dear Sirs, Rowley, Massachusetts, 375th anniversary. The Parish Council of Rowley in the East Riding of Yorkshire, on behalf of residents of the parish, convey their very best wishes to the citizens of Rowley, Massachusetts, on the celebration of the town of Rowley's 375th anniversary on this day, 4th September 2014. Your town's anniversary will be mentioned at this Sunday's service at St. Peter's Church, Rowley, as the strong connection to those early settlers who immigrated to New England will be remembered. Yours sincerely, Andrew Woodall, Chairman. So that was a nice move by the St. Peter's Church in East Riding, Yorkshire.
Right.
So
We appreciate the chairman of the board to reading the letter at the opening ceremonies on Thursday, September 4th, the founding day. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there's another communication in that package. They followed up with an email to me asking if you would consider sending an article for publication for the next parish newsletter. A piece about the life of Rowley, Massachusetts, as this would provide a fabulous reminder to all residents, old and new, of our parish, of the link our two countries have. So I thought that you would be interested in maybe putting together something that we could send to them.
Yes.
The Rowley Parish has a newsletter, and
Yeah, we'd like to do that. I think what I'd really like to do is, once Janet has the footage together of all of the things that we did for the 375th, I'd also like to send them a copy of that.
Of the CD.
The
Yeah.
CD, yeah. But we can certainly put together a letter and,
some type of
Send that off to 'em.
article, so, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
Okay. That was number 6, so now we're on to number 7. And that's discuss fall special town meeting articles. I don't know if I've got a number 7 in here. Or is that just general? Here we go. I found it. Discuss fall special town meeting articles. The warrant for the October 27, 2014 special town meeting closes on Monday, September 22nd, 2014 at 4 p.m. We will have articles funding the recently signed MOA with the police union. Funds are earmarked to fund this contract. We need to have an article that repurposes the funds that were set aside for the development of the Brad Street baseball field. These funds need to be redirected to the development of a Little League field at Veterans Field at the Pine Grove School, and develop and to construct soccer fields and other related recreational areas at Eris Park. We need to authorize Dave Peterson to meet with the Community Preservation Committee to discuss these plans. We need to have an article that designates the land at Smith Lane as parkland. So there's a couple of 3 articles there.
Yeah, basically, Mr. Chairman, regarding the baseball field, you and I have been meeting with Tim Southall and Debbie regarding the potential of building a baseball field at the Bradstreet property. And
Yep.
as we've discussed previously, the town at some point in the past appropriated around $220,000 thereabouts to construct that field, and since once we get into it and had the engineering done, we discovered that we were gonna need an extra a rough estimation of another $225,000 to $250,000
Right.
because of the poor condition of the soils, the drainage, and it really became obvious that this was way too much money to spend for a ball field, so.
Yep.
What we kinda looked at doing was instead, there's sufficient space behind the Pine Grove School at Veterans Field, I believe they call it. And we kind of agreed that we would look at taking the money, the 220, that's I think about 220 is left.
208, we're down over.
208,000 that's left in that article, and put that towards construction of the Little League field, or a regulation Little League field behind Pine Grove School. In doing that, we were going to lose the full-size soccer field over there. As a result, we looked over at Eris Park, and there's a piece of land that's designated Selectmen and Water Department that's to the right of Smith Lane, which I think we need to, at that meeting, have an article redesignate that as parkland, or was it active recreation, Debbie?
Well, if it's the selectmen, the Eris Park is considered general municipal purpose and is used as recreational fields. The Bradstreet property is actually Article 97 active park recreation land that's protected under the Constitution of Massachusetts. So there's 2 different levels. If you're using CPA
Right.
money, you usually use it as Article 97 parkland.
So we would really want to designate that piece, and I don't recall offhand how many acres it is, but it's large enough. It contains a little bit of the water area from the town well, but by designating it as active Article 97 land, we would be committing it to recreational purposes only, so we couldn't put a building on there or any of that stuff, so that it's obvious that we're not going to interfere with the well field, or the area around the well field. And that would give us a very buildable piece of land to put a soccer field on, and potentially a skateboard park, maybe tennis courts if there's enough space there, which we were gonna put in the rear of Bradstreet, but which are no longer gonna be there. So we need to repurpose those funds, and that's why I would be meeting with the CPC committee to get their authorization to repurpose the funds for the construction of these 2 areas. And that way we can, we'll have to also discuss with the water board, I'm sure, what that little piece that indents on their water area. But with the water board purposes, we're going to give back to them the Little League field that's right beside their well field. So and we're not going to actually do any construction of anything on that water part of the land, but we will give them back the Little League field as protection for the well, and would give us plenty of parking, and to really develop a chance to develop that recreation area up there and utilize it year round, where now it tends to be used more for baseball purposes than anything else. So, but that's the intent. And
I have one question.
Sure.
You're leaving Thursday. Will you be back for the 25th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back on the 22nd.
Okay.
So I won't be here for the meeting.
The meeting for the CPC is on the 25th.
Right. So I'll be back actually. I'll be back late on the 22nd, which is a Monday. So.
Okay. So, want to think about to authorize Dave to meet with the Community Preservation Committee?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I guess I can vote for that, can I? Aye. Why not? Yeah, it's moving ahead on a project that's really been, a lot of work's been put in, and it's just too expensive to,
The land really isn't conducive to
no, it
any
isn't
type of
conducive to it.
active recreation purposes, even though it was set aside for that reason.
Okay, new business number 9. Update the IRS commuting rule policy. Debbie and Sue Bailey are requesting that the Board of Selectmen update the town's IRS commuting rule policy due to personnel changes. The Board of Selectmen instituted this policy in 2009 in accordance with the Internal Revenue Service commuting rule that had been recently published. Under the policy the board is reviewing tonight, there is a language that authorizes the town administrator to update the policy as needed for personnel changes only. All other changes will require the Board of Selectmen's approval. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote and sign the policy. The following employees have been assigned municipal vehicles on a 24-hour basis by their respective department heads. Mark Bixby, Light Department. Dan Folding, Light Department. Frank Marchigiani, Health Department. Mary Beth Weiser, Water Department. The IRS commuting rule is applicable to the aforementioned employees. The commuting rule is the taxable equivalent of $1.50 each way per day of work. Under this method, an employee having the use of a town-owned vehicle will be taxed at his or her tax bracket $1.50 each way on the commute to work. This would not be enforced during weekends, holidays, or vacations. Under the commuting rule, employees are not allowed to use the vehicle for personal purposes other than commuting and de minimis personnel use such as a stop for personal errand along the commute. At the end of each calendar year upon separation in employment from the town of Rowley, employees must submit a log to the accounting department of the days he/she commuted to work in a town-owned vehicle. Effective immediately, the town administrator is authorized to update this policy for future personnel changes.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, our next item agenda under new business is item number 10. Update the town's procurement policy. Chapter 30B has been amended and we need to update the policy to reflect the changes. The threshold for soliciting quotes for goods and services has been raised from $24,999 to $34,999. The minimum goods and services contract value has been raised to $35,000 and over. The Board of Selectmen needs to authorize Debbie to update the policy and to circulate it to all town departments. So,
It's just a ratification of state law, I assume changes the state legislature made, so I'll give you a motion to accept that, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
motion made and seconded to update the 30B procurement policy. Signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We are down to old business and it's discuss reserve fund transfer request for air conditioner system for Selectmen's office. Okay, Debbie has resubmitted the proposal for the replacement air conditioner system. The original proposal from Breen and Sullivan did not include prevailing wage rates. The original proposal was for $5,495. The revised proposal is for $8,285, reflecting a difference of $2,790. State law requires cities and towns to pay the prevailing wage rate. Debbie needs the Board of Selectmen to approve the revised amount, which reflects the prevailing wage rates, and to authorize her to file a reserve fund transfer request with the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is meeting tomorrow night. Would any of the selectmen wish to attend this meeting with Debbie?
I've been going, I don't mind going unless somebody else wants to go. I'm available.
Okay.
No, that'll work. Good.
Wait a minute, you're not supposed to agree that quickly.
Well, actually, I won't be available because I'll be working tomorrow.
I've been going on a pretty regular basis, so I don't mind going.
This is unfortunate, but we followed up to make sure with Breen and Sullivan, and it didn't include the prevailing wage rates. And the chairman of the FinCom is here, so he's getting the preview. And this, if we don't obviously have this kind of money in the town hall expense line.
Well,
I'll give you the motion.
Yeah, luckily,
If we had a selectmen's meeting last week with no air
would
conditioning,
have died.
and it is making some noises.
Luckily, tonight we don't need it because we do have the cooler temperatures outside. But the last couple of times we've met here with the air conditioner on, it's been making some kind of grinding noises in the fan mechanism. So I'm assuming it's getting ready to give up the ghost.
It's getting old like the board.
My heating system just went out.
Well, put it on here too, Larry. One heating system will add it right on here.
Trade,
So I think it's something that we really need to, and actually, they're not even making the parts anymore, Larry. That's one of the issues we ran into. There's a couple of relays that are gone, and unfortunately, the manufacturers these days incorporate those types of equipment, rather than being a separate piece, into a circuit board, which about triples the prices of anything that you need to replace. So they make money. And unfortunately, because of the age of the unit, they're not even making that anymore. So it's difficult to keep them maintained.
It just goes to show you too, the prevailing wage rate adds for what was originally a $5,500 project, the prevailing wage rate puts it up to $8,200. So
Well,
shows you the effect
yeah.
that the prevailing wage has on the cost of doing business for, this is just a routine small matter.
Almost $3,000.
Yeah, almost $3,000, so. But anyway,
Till the law changes, we're
yeah,
stuck with it.
no, we got no choice, so
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. So now we're down to minutes of July 28th, 2014.
Joe Perry was absent, so we probably got to wait, right, because we don't have a quorum.
I think
That's
you're
right.
right. I think we will have to put these on hold.
Thanks, Joe. We wanted to get this done too tonight.
Sorry about that.
We can tell.
Just breaks my heart.
Okay, announcements. State primary election location has been moved from St. Mary's Hall to the Rowley Public Library. Election hours remain the same from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pine Grove School Spaghetti Fundraiser, Friday, September 12th, to raise funds for the 5th grade ecological camp. 2 seatings at 4:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. For information, contact Josette Renda at Josette, SOPHIA, at AOL.com. The fall special town meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 27, 2014, at 7:30 p.m. at the Pine Grove School. The town has the following vacancies: fence viewer, 2 positions, wood, lumber, and bark inspector, and zoning board of appeals associates, 2 open seats, historical commission, historical district commission, 3 seats, parks and recreation committee, 2 seats. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectman's office at 948-2372. Rowley Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Water customers need to call Pennachuck at 1-800-553-5191 now for billing, payment, and customer service questions. Compact fluorescent bulbs may be recycled at the Rowley Municipal Light Plant. Light bulbs can be brought down during normal business hours. Those are the compact fluorescent, kind of squiggly lights. The not compact, but the fluorescent tubes will not be collected. That being said, I think we are finished.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.